I need it all. Do you want it though? Where do I begin? I see the hate, they don't wanna see me win. Bank deposits, I got more coming in. Top down, throw the money in the wind. I don't want it all. Heard he scammer, had to switch up the accounts. Moving paper, gotta call it my account. It's all in, I can have it coming out. Been through the struggle, I can see another drought. Yeah, it's not a purse, it's a merch. 6 figures was a gold, now it's 9 or a hearse. Put it work. Used to pull up, not swerve. No time for the snakes, trying to put them in the dirt. That's word. I gotta get it, it's in my DNA. You only see the highlights, don't know what it takes. Last year stressing, got no sleep. Now I'm right between the courts, I don't know bleed. I see the hate, they don't wanna see me win. Bank deposits, I got more coming in. Top down, throw the money in the wind. I don't want it all. Heard he scammer, had to switch up the accounts. Moving paper, gotta call it my account. It's all in, I can have it coming out. And through the struggle, I can see another drought. Yeah, same circle, still the same gang. We just get to it, we don't gangbang. Lost some friends to the same thing. Keep a low pro.
Hey guys, welcome to the 5 F's to Love. And if you don't know, this is Get Your Money Right. The Finance Squad is in the house. And right now, if you have not even thought about it, go grab a notebook. Every time you see the Finance Squad come on, grab a notebook because this is noteworthy. If you want to get your money right, you need to pay attention. And you already know Mordecai is here. Mordecai, I'm going to tell you, last week, you got a lot of shout outs.
Let's go.
It was like rockstar amazing. I have to say.
Go.
For Saturday night, you got folks staying at home from 8 to 9.
That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. I want to give a shout out to all the audience, all the fam out across the world. I am excited to have this conversation with our communities across the globe, across our nation. And I'm excited to be on the squad. I'm glad we got a squad together, and it's just going to be an amazing conversation.
And I'm going to tell you guys, so tonight we got coming on is Santana. And Santana, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm so excited about all of you. And I can't wait till next week when Forrest comes on. Right. But you know what? I was kind of blown back when I'm looking at titles. I was like, what? President, vice president? I was like, Mordecai done brought in the big dogs. This was like, are you kidding me? So if folks don't watch you guys on Saturday nights, and get their money right, I don't know what they're doing. This is the time to do it. It's the beginning of the year. And folks, if you listen to them and start really putting together your plan of attack, because you got to put together your plan of attack to manage your long-term wealth and even short-term goals, something is not right. But I'm excited. So Santana, I'm going to be clear before Forrest comes on next week. I told Mordecai, with y'all names, I was already in. I was like, Mordecai, Santana, and Forrest. I was like, are these men black? What's happening?
All the way from the motherland.
All of my life. Like I've been getting that question is Santana African American my entire life since a child.
Really?
Yes.
Because I'm going to tell you, until I got the photos of you, I wasn't really in. I was half in. And then when I saw Forrest pictures, I was like, really? So they really are black? Because that just kind of blew me away, but I was really excited. Mordecai was like the finance squad. We coming in. We're all coming from different areas of finance. So it's like a whole 360 perspective. So I'm going to tell you, folks, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we get back, Santana's going to talk to us about his journey to being a financial expert, because a lot of times, as you guys found out last week with Mordecai, it's not always a straight shot. Sometimes you take a turn, you take a right, you make a left, and then you get right on track. And then some people, they know from day one, this is what you want to do. I mean, like me, I knew from day one I wanted to be a chemist, and I went to school and I became a chemist. So you can't beat that, right? And that's what I wanted to do. So folks, we'll be right back after this commercial break, and we come back, we need to talk about Santana's journey.
I don't know about you, but you make me crazy. Never got stuck in my head, not gonna leave it at that. Taking the lead, feeling your heat. Just wanna give you my best. I don't even know your name, but you got me. Cause you're all the die. We don't know what happens next, but you got me. Cause I'm next in line. You make it look so easy, making me feel so dreamy. Not the one who pays for drinks, but you got me. Cause you're all the die. Got me locked in now. Go ahead and take a shot. Do you really want me? Maybe you're just...
Hey guys, welcome back to the 5 F's to Love. Tonight we have Get Your Money Right. This is a pre-recorded session, but we're going to look at all comments, and they're going to jump into those comments and respond to you accordingly. But remember what we said. Any conversations we have on this is just a generic conversation. If you would like to speak with them individually, you need to contact their offices for individual consultation on your financial matters. So folks, let's get started. I always have to throw out the disclaimers because my attorneys don't play, and neither does theirs. So we want to make sure all attorneys are happy. That's why I have to put together my disclaimer. Okay, so Santana, listen, you guys are such rock stars, and we learned a lot about Mordecai last week. But I want to know from you, can you share with us your journey to being a financial expert? Because you're president of like your own company.
Yeah, so it's everybody has a starting point to get into this moment. I think I was actually thrust into this moment based on life circumstances. So let me give you those life circumstances. I was raised by a grandmother with a 6th grade education, had to drop out, take care of herself from age 12. She actually told a story. She snuck in restaurants and cooked in the back, which made her a phenomenal cook as she got older. In addition to that, my mom had me when she was 17 years old. So, and I'm coming out of the project. So you see, I'm set with those set of circumstances, and I started going to schools on the other side of town. That's where I met Mordecai. Mordecai, we've been knowing Mordecai. Full disclosure, is my oldest friend. I met in the first grade. First grade. Like, and what was deep about it, we started walking home together. He would walk home, jump the fence, and I would go catch the city bus. And so I'm in the advanced classes and all that, not really knowing about any. It's not dawning on me that the people I'm hanging out with, they have different level of resources. They have a different level of experience. I give my grandmother credit in the fact that she didn't never let me feel less than, though it was obvious. When we got to about the 5th grade is when I started realizing, hey, something's different with this game. And that being, hey, your mom's a doctor and she's coming to help you with your science project. Like you're getting picked up in a nice car. Like I started noticing those things, and it kind of just started progressing that, like, wow, it's a big disparity between the resources the people my age have and what I have. Now, I don't, my grandmother did an excellent job, but I started realizing, like, this game of life I'm in right now, it's not even playing field. So how can I even the playing field? So I started about, I think, and then it started intensifying as I got to high school, because some of the realities of high school start kicking in. You want to go to college,
right?
How do you go to college with a grandmother making $150, $200 a week? How do you even do that? You don't even think about it. You don't think it's an option. Now and then, at that time, I went to a high school, how you dress and the car you drive, so I'm like, I don't even know how I'm gonna match up in terms of having the same school clothes. Like, how do I even, like? So I started researching, and then this is the final thing that changed my life forever. In the 9th grade, in about the 8th grade, I wanted a Commodore 64. Oh, that was real back in the day. Yeah, I wanted a Commodore 64. I have a Commodore 64. You know, I'm putting the pressure on my family.
Okay, but wait, Santana, you got to tell them what's the equivalent of a Commodore 64 today. Tell them what that is.
A Mac computer is the comparable. Yeah. I mean, Commodore 6. Hey, all having the pressure of once.
Right.
At this point, I'm going to a preparatory college school, and so everybody's at the cutting edge of having the best stuff for studying. And I'm like, hey,
right.
if you want me to compete and want me, and this is when life took a shift. My mother bought me the Commodore 64 for Christmas. And about 30 to 45 days later, my mom told me she had to move out of her apartment. And as I started,
wow,
this is not adding up. Like, why would you? And I realized she had taken her money and bought me the Commodore 64. And at that point, budgeting and financial, because I went to her and say, listen, there's some things I want to achieve in life. Don't stress yourself out to put that pressure. If you don't have it, and I told the whole family, like, hey, if you don't have it, I understand our circumstances. Don't put pressure on yourself.
Right.
And at that point, I started taking on the weight of, I'm going to have to figure this out. And I'm going to have to figure it out with hard work, but strong financial management skills. So I even started like 10th grade. I told my mom, do not claim me on your tax return for the next 3 years. And they were like, well, what are you?
Wait a minute. What grade were you in?
10th grade. 10th grade.
10th grade.
How did
you know to tell your mom that in 10th grade?
Listen, I had 4 options out of this.
4 options. Tell them about the 4 options.
You can sell drugs. Not an option. You could be an extraordinary football player. And in my high school, I even have Hall of Famer Brian Dawkins with. So at that point, my high school was known for producing athletes. Or you can just have a simple life, or you can work your way out of this and be extraordinary. And that's what I aimed. So I began to read. I went up and down. What does it take to get in college? How do you get in college? How do you get the most money? And then I stumbled up on this fact. In 1990, you can go back to it. If you claim yourself for 3 years and you make over $3,000, you could be independent and get full financial aid. And so I put this in place. So the first year I got financial aid. Second year, Sean and I were roommates at Florida A&M. I see the Delaware University, Dale State Pillow. I'm not gonna.
Don't mess with my age. Don't do it. Cause see, I was in the marching band, and we took it to the streets on y'all a couple times.
No, don't you dare say y'all were better than
She on the call with 2 rattlers, so we're gonna leave it right there.
In the early 90s, it was often duplicated but never imitated.
Yeah. Hey, I done marched on y'all field. We won't get into that.
Yeah, okay. But our sophomore year, Sean can tell you the story. I always had money as roommates. Now, here I have no really parental support, but I got more money than everybody had 2 parents because.
How did you do that?
I was claiming independent. So let me
understand this, Mordecai. You all had no idea what he was doing. At that point.
No, I knew what he was doing. Our circumstances were totally different. My mother dropped me off at Florida A&M, and she gave me $20. And she said, "Baby, that's all Mama got. I got enough to get back to Jacksonville, Florida. Do the best you can with this $20." So I had $20. I was on the other side of campus working out my own deal. We were all working it, but he always had a finance lens. He always had a finance lens, always had a business lens, a relational lens. He had a finance lens. So, like, for instance, one time I'm laying in the bed, he called me, he knocked on the door, he said, "They got us." I said, "Got us?" He said, "They turned the lights off." They had turned our lights off in our apartment in college. And I looked at him, I said, "Well, man, I can't call mom. Mom don't have anything. Dad, I don't even know what dad is." And he said, "Don't worry about it. I got it." He went down there. I don't know what he did. I drove him, and the lights got back on.
Santana,
I'm telling you what happened.
Get the lights on.
I may have called an extra extension on that time, but I was like, I think I was getting like $4,000 or $5,000 a semester. It might have been like 4,000.
So you were back in the day, you were really financial savvy.
Out of survival.
Enough for you were survivor. But I mean, a lot of people are. But Santana, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never even thought about what you said, even when I was in school, because I had a full scholarship. And I guess for me, I didn't claim myself. Like that was not even a thought to even. So I just want to say you've always been a financial genius. Like you were on the road to being a financial genius, telling your mama, don't claim me on your tax. Your mom was like, well, I'm trying to get some money.
Yeah, I'm on that little 1,500 or whatever. But even in high school, like it came to the point, I remember senior year, I'm like, I gotta have a car. Like everybody has a car. Like
right.
And my grandmother looks at me like, you on your own. I'm not gonna try to stop you from getting a car. So I literally I got my first check. I think I was working at Winn-Dixie grocery store. So I got my first.
Down south, folks. That's down south. That's 7-Eleven.
I got my first check, and I cashed it, and I literally stacked up every check from that point, and waited to the end right before school to buy a car and to get some school tools.
Working at Winn-Dixie grocery store.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes like I would walk from work, so I wouldn't have to spend money on a bus fare or anything. Like it became really a challenge. Like, can you do this? Because I had to make it fun. Like I'm in a tough situation.
Right.
I got everything stacked against me. I'm thinking that I can discipline my way and outthink most of the people in my age. So I'm going to get here, and I want to take the pressure off of my family. And so I got to think my way out of this. How do you? One of the great things that my grandmother did clean homes in the Jewish community of Jacksonville, which is one of the more affluent communities in Jacksonville. They began to talk finances, and more than anything, they began to talk about being an entrepreneur. You know, if you ever in the Jewish community, being an entrepreneur is most important to control your own destiny.
Yeah.
So once again, I mean, we and Sean have been hip to hip through everything. We were in a program called Inroads together, and Inroads was a blessing to me in the fact it taught me that I did not want to work for anybody. I mean, because I've lived my whole life with financial limitations. And now I'm on a job that now imposes additional financial limitations. You're going to tell me how much I'm going to make. You're going to tell me when I get off. You're going to tell me when I get a raise, when I get promoted. And this just seemed like I really got to the point from doing Inroads that I said enough is enough. And I'm not going to work for anybody and have to be under financial limitations. I can't do it anymore. I've done it growing up, and now I'm sitting here doing an internship. And so it became after my sophomore, junior year, I'm like, this is it. I know, like you said, I know I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. So then it became a question of what? Like, what do you do? Like, what can you do to sustain a lifestyle? What can you do? And it was being in Tallahassee, I had a lot of friends that played for Florida State. And so one night after the game, this is in the high time of Florida State with Bobby Bowden, I'm sitting there and we're looking around and I said, I got it. I'm like 21, 20. I said, I got it. No, what are you talking about? I'm going to manage y'all money. And everybody looking like,
that's when the lights up went on.
Yeah. It just, we're sitting after the game, and it just hit me like my way out of this is to manage your money. And I'm like,
everybody needs a magic moment like that. Folks, we're right back after these commercial breaks because Santana and Mordecai is going to tell us about the history of money. But I'm going to say this to you. When you have an epiphany like Santana did, he went from not knowing anything about financial planning to telling his mama, don't claim me on your taxes, to taking care of himself with the money from financial aid through college, to then discovering I'm going to be a financial planner because I'm about to manage y'all money. Folks, we'll be right back after this commercial break. We're going to find about the history of money. By the way, I got my stuff. I'm ready. I'm not playing. I need to know what's going on. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the 5 F's to Love. If you just joined us, this is a pre-recorded session. All comments that you leave, the guys will follow up with you. Just keep in mind that anything you want to know specifically, you need to contact each one of them individually so they can speak about your individual financial concerns. Any generic questions can be responded to, but for personal information, you need to contact them and make an appointment with them. Okay, so listen, Santana, I'm just going to say I didn't have an epiphany about money right away. That's the reason why I told Mordecai I do the best that I can. It's one thing to teach algebra, trigonometry, differential equations, and all of that, but it's one thing to do financial planning. So I want to be clear, folks. Just because I know things, like I know math very well, can teach it, didn't mean that I understood how to manage my own money. And I think a lot of times people think it's easy. Like I went and opened up this E-Trade account because I was bored, over COVID. Yeah. And, although I have people doing it, I decided I wanted to be, on the stocks, Now I made some money, but it was just me really looking at tech stock. I didn't, I would do my research and I would go find them, but it wasn't a really big deal. But what I did find out, that's a full-time job. Like it took a lot of time. Like, it took a whole day for me to do the research and to try to get in before they closed to get the stock. And it was just a lot happening. So what I'm saying, folks, you need folks that are experts like these guys to really sit down and talk to you about getting your money right. And of course, Forrest is not here. He'll be here next week. So between the three of them, honey, you need to pull it together. But what I need to know is, let's talk about money. Mordecai stressed me out a little bit about the history of money and what do we need to know? Because he started telling me about the dollar. And that's why, folks, I got my dollar today and I'm not going to play, I got a magnifying glass because he was telling me some stuff. And I said, well, Mordecai, let me have my dollar ready so you can tell me what I'm looking at. So, folks, if you're joining us, go get your dollar and a magnifying glass.
We're going to get this dollar. And we want to start people off where we left off in the last podcast, where we asked, the first assignment was write down, where is money telling you you can't? That's the first place. Money is telling you you can't vacation here, you can't live over there, you can't eat over here, you can't have friends. What is money telling you you can't do? Right? This podcast is about turning that narrative around, where money is not talking to you, you're talking to your money and you're telling your money what to do. And so a lot of times we're on the wrong side of power as it relates to our relationship with money. So when we started coaching folks, and what we find is everywhere you are coached and advised, you are successful, right? There was a wise man said, don't make me so, he was praying to God, said, don't make me so poor, I'll steal, and don't make me so rich, I'll forget you. And so the middle ground is creating wealth, because rich dies with you. It doesn't go into posterity.
Right.
And so we're building wealth. And what we find is that everybody wants to get their money right, but no one has ever stopped to understand what's in your pocket. And so there's a book that we recommend. This is the nerd section. We nerd out for a hot second here. It's called.
Mordecai, are you about to give people the challenge of the week before we get to the challenge of the week?
No, I'm not about to give them the challenge of the week. No,
challenge.
There's a book that we're going to challenge. We're going to put the challenge out, but it's not yet. But
not yet.
What I want everybody to do right quick is go grab a bill, and we're just going to go through a couple different symbols, and we want you to look at your dollar. And at the very top of the dollar bill, and I want Santana to chime in here with us, there it says Federal Reserve Note. Now, in the challenge, you'll find out that the word federal gives you the illusion
it does say that
this note belongs or is owned rather by the federal government. That is not true. So the question then becomes, you saying it's your money, but when you look at that dollar bill, there is a serial number that indicates the owner of that bill. So the first thing is at the very top, it says Federal Reserve Note. What does that mean? There's a coalition of 12 privately owned banks that split the United States up into 12 districts. And so you need to understand that the United States does not own this money. This is owned by the Federal Reserve. And so Santana, a lot of people don't realize this because this is, so Santana talked about how we were part of Inroads. I did an internship at the Federal Reserve Bank in Florida. And so I was responsible for doing all the monetary policy presentations. So I had economics, but I didn't have monetary policy. So this is where I started saying, wow, this is a whole world of understanding. So people have the $1.25 in their pocket, but you've never stopped to take a look at that. So I want you to take a look at the top. There's the Federal Reserve. And then if you note, there is a letter on the left-hand side in the front. That letter, it's either an A, B, C, D, all the way down to L. That letter represents which Federal Reserve Bank ordered that note.
Okay, mine is a G.
So a G means that Chicago, the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago ordered that note. An A is Boston, a B is New York, a C is Philadelphia, a D is Cleveland, a E is Richmond. So the point we're trying to make—
you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. Don't do it.
All I'm saying is, and then I want you to look at this. You see the letter.
Yes.
The number always corresponds to the number of the letter in the alphabet. So you said your letter is what?
G.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I bet you got a 7 in the corner of that bill.
Yes.
All right. So the 7 corresponds to the letter. So the point we're trying to make here is, why would they go through this painstaking detail to mark these notes? Who owns this money? And so we're going to issue this challenge. So you see, so the other thing I want you to put out here, and look at the serial number. It always starts with the letter. There's a green serial number at the bottom left hand, and then you see K or G, and then there's a number, right? And you see that number duplicated on the top right hand.
Correct.
All right. If you flip that dollar bill over, on the right-hand side of that dollar bill, you'll see the American eagle. Most people never look at what's in the eagle's hands, on the talons. So you've got olive branches, and then you've got arrows in the eagle's talons, which basically means if you mess with us, we're going to go to war.
Oh my God, that is what's there.
So there's olive branch, which symbolizes peace, but the arrows symbolize war, which means we'll fight you over this. So there's a lot that happened. Even on the bottom of the pyramid, if you look at the bottom of the pyramid, there are some Roman numerals, which has to do with the year that United States declared.
Oh my gosh, it is.
See that? So the 13 colonies, everything is on that note. All we're trying to say is that we're walking around with things in our pockets, in our wallets, in our purses, and we've never stopped to actually look at what's going on. So Santana, when I'm going through this, a lot of people do not understand how they want to get in the money market, they want to get in stocks, they want to get, but there's a foundational understanding that we all got to have. And so I just want to pitch it to you here, and we want people to pull out your money and start taking note of what's on that bill. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying when you're looking at this, even as what's going on right now, it's all about monetary and fiscal policy in terms of rates being managed and everything. So the government and the Federal Reserve and everything takes part in where we are. They have a responsibility to really kind of correct when the economy is going awry. So you can't just look at your money and not look at everything that's going around you that impacts your money. And that's the thing that we have to understand, that, take time out, for our listeners to look at some of these, money stations that you have. All these stations on your cable that you're paying for. Right. Some of these stations, look at and listen to what they're talking about, and maybe come back to us and ask some questions to understand how the shaping of the economy is going, because the Federal Reserve will start correcting stuff, and they're doing it with the rates, raising them, trying to slow down inflation. So all of this is impacting your money, and you can't just look at saving over here and not know how your money is being impacted over here in terms of interest rates. So that's why we're on the journey, because during the course of these podcast tape, you will begin to ask questions, learn, have a better grasp on what is going on with your money. Because if you could just put it in a hole and think that your money is going to hold your value, when going over here and the value of your money is going down. So you really you need to know you need to know holistic planning. I think that's the term.
When you talk about holistic planning, I need to ask y'all right now, why am I paying $7 for a carton of eggs when gas is only $3 something a gallon? The eggs cost more than what it costs for me to go get them. What is going on with that? Should I be investing in the eggs or something? What is going on with the egg market?
Funny, that's kind of personal here.
Yeah, you asking some personal questions.
Okay, no. What I'm saying, like, explain it to me in layman's terms. Like, I don't understand how the price of eggs went up so high. Like, I don't understand that.
Well, I can explain it. I can explain that to you. Recently, I got into logistics, and it's the most eye-opening thing, because everything has to be shipped.
That's right.
Everything. So if the cost of shipping is going up, that it directly impacts your money. So
it's like a supply chain issue.
Yeah. So
okay.
COVID impacted greatly the supply chain. So diesel is up for shipping. Diesel is skyrocketing,
right.
And so what they do is they pass it down to the consumer. So you're getting the trickle down effect of the back end of COVID. Now the supply and demand, because what happened is the shippers got overtaxed by the trucking companies doing COVID.
Right.
Meaning, oh man, you got to get these eggs delivered. Well, it's going to cost you. It used to maybe cost you, say, $3.50 a mile. Now it's going to cost you, if you need me to get it there by within 48 hours, it's going to cost you $5.50. So they had, during COVID, who made the most money during COVID? Amazon, shipping companies, because they were taxing the producers. Well, and the gas went up. So this was a chance, fuel was down. Now fuel is back up because of fuel. Everybody know, like the shipping companies got to pay this diesel now. Now I got them where I want them. You need a diesel. Diesel has not gone down yet. So some of the prices, and even with the real estate market, you have not seen the decline because the demand was so great during COVID.
Right. These
prices are still staying high. So what happens if they push the cost down to the consumer? Okay. And until the supply balances out with demand, everybody is going to see prices stay high. So it's sad, but it's the reality. And basically they're balancing out the income, because The shippers were, just shipping it out at low values and stuff like that during COVID. Now they're like, everybody took advantage of us. We're gonna balance it out. It's one height is another person's down cycle. So the cycle is just flipped, and now we're paying for COVID. Basically, you're seeing the prices. You're seeing the backside of COVID. That's what's happening.
And the other thing that's affecting this is the Great Migration. We don't have the labor market that we used to have either. And so that's driving up costs as well, where you might have had, I'm just throwing this out, 1,000 truck drivers in a pool. Now there's only 500. And all the stats say that nothing will go back to where it was pre-COVID. We're actually we're in a new era. That's why this conversation about getting your money right is so tantamount, right? And so people have migrated away from their old jobs. Technology is going to replace. They're saying in the next 10 or 15 years, technology is going to replace something like 40% of truck drivers.
A large population of our workforce.
Exactly. So that's why Elon Musk recently talked about a global welfare system, because there'll be so many people who are not entrepreneurs, who don't know how to manage their money. And so to keep people from being poor and stealing, he talks about a global welfare system, which is nothing short of slavery. And
and I want people to be mindful of this too. I like Elon Musk. I like the inventor in him, and I respect the inventor in him. But a lot of the things that he says and does when it comes to business, it's a gigantic question mark. And I want people to understand there's a difference between the two. When we get back, we're going to talk about how you can begin to get your money right. Y'all better be listening to these tips, by the way. And all of y'all doing a shout out. Where's the worksheets? Where's the checklist? They'll give some things to me that I can put together for you guys and send you out a Google link where you guys can start filling in that information, and also being able to contact them directly. We'll be right back after this commercial break, but I hope y'all got y'all notebooks, because I got mine. Y'all know how to play with my sticky notes. We'll be right back.
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Loving how you wind up. For me, tonight is all on me. Mash up the place for me, yeah. She just wanna highlight. Ooh, that body talk to me. I need a taste, baby. Loving the way you move around me. No more delay. No, you can't wait to shut it down. Won't you show me how you work it? I can't find no flaws, you perfect. Cause every time that you come around my way, I keep falling again. I keep falling again. And every time that you come across my mind, I keep falling again. I keep falling again. In love, yeah.
Broken future, all the plans you
guys, welcome back to the 5Fs to Love. Listen, you know we talking get your money right. Okay? I live by sticky notes. I'm not a notebook person, but I do have notebooks. I want to be clear. My notebook is over here. I do have my notebooks. And these notebooks, because I am a techie, everything that I write to in these notebooks go directly to my computer in Microsoft Word. That's just the techie in me. So listen, folks, this is a pre-recorded session. Anything that we discuss during this session, you can leave questions and comments. If you would like to speak to them directly, I will connect you to them so you can make appointments to speak about your individual personal financial concerns or questions. Okay, so listen, we need to get this roadmap because everybody has been DMing me. Like when the finance squad come back, Christine, are we getting a checklist or what? That's what they want to know. What is going? Are they helping us? What's happening? So what? Listen, folks want to know how we get this thing started.
Yeah, so I'm going to start it off here. And one of the things that we talked about is you need to write down your rock bottom. When did you hit rock bottom? The point what was the incident in your life where you said, aha, this is not working for me? We cannot get people on the right road if you're not willing to go on the journey. So what is the moment in your life where you're saying an incident or a situation that happened where you say, I got to make a change? I'll give you an example.
Folks, this is what he's talking about. We're talking about Christine Burkett, who took all her money out of her 401k and savings to start these 3 different companies. That was my rock bottom because my safety net is gone. It was either do or die, right? But since I met Mordecai, Santana, and Forrest, we're going to turn all that around because I didn't spend all my monies on me. So that was my rock bottom. So although I'm doing what it is I want to do, that was my rock bottom because now I have no backup. So folks, that's a good example. So keep going, Mordecai, because I got my notes.
Yep. So rock bottom, right? So give an example. And then so the second thing is your vision. Your vision is the thing that lives inside of you for how you want to live. If you're not willing to be accountable to your future, you're not ready to take the journey. What is the vision? Let me give an example. I needed $5,000 20 years ago. I was on the bed. I was depressed, had a young baby. I needed 2 cars and all I needed was $5 grand. Couldn't call mom, dad, nobody. My boss called me, Christine, in Livonia and said, what's the matter? I said, nothing. He said, that's not true. I can feel you that something's wrong. I said, man, I need $5 grand and to buy my wife this car so we can, while I'm at work, she can do da 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 da. He said, you come get me from the office in 30 minutes. I picked him up. He drove me to the BMW dealership in Ann Arbor and he dropped a credit card and paid for me a BMW and said, today's your special day.
Oh my gosh.
And I drove off the lot
at the
BMW dealership. That's right. So the point I'm making was that was a moment for me to say, I want to live like that. Exactly. I want to be able to help people and not make people feel guilty when they need something.
That was amazing.
So he was financially free enough to be able to do that and then said, don't worry about paying me back. And 25.
You saw the example of what you wanted to be.
Yes.
And see, that's the thing. A lot of us, like me, I have a whole board. I've planned my life from the time I went to college up to this point. And I think I do my affirmations, my I am statements, which tells me I am, and I speak it into existence. But for you, because I didn't see anybody like me. I didn't see anybody in chemistry. I didn't see anybody, a Black woman in IT. So I had to do my own thing. But for you, this guy shows up and you're like, this is what I want.
He was my boss and he was Black. He was my boss and he was Black. And so I asked him, I said, how did you do that? He said, I dropped my credit card. He said, we keep a receipt of everything. We have an airtight budget. We save. And he began to talk to me about how he managed his finances. Like he had 2 boys. I mean, it was amazing. And it was in that conversation that my vision of what's possible for me began to change my mindset, that it wasn't necessarily all the economic barriers. There are some things that I could do to reposition myself. And I started changing the way I saw my life playing out. I don't have to live paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
I don't have to be in a place where I'm borrowing to do what I need to do. So the second thing is we talk about is sitting down and establishing a budget that works for you. So I want Santana, one of the things that people talk about is 50, 30, 20. Now that's just one formula for a budget: 50, 30, 20. Now Forrest has a budget formula that starts with 10, right? So there's different
Forrest
models.
got a 10.
He got one that starts with 10, but we're gonna start with 50, 30, 20, which is 50% of your income on necessities like housing, utilities, and groceries, 30% on discretionary expenses like dining and entertainment, which I think that's a lot, and 20% on your financial goals, like saving for retirement and paying off your debt. Now, Santana,
Okay, so but
so
see, Mordecai, let's think about this too, because we do have people who try to live up to being the Joneses.
okay,
right?
so here's what
That's
we
the
talk about.
thing.
The Joneses, everybody needs to know. I'm gonna look right in the camera. The Joneses are broke. We need to know that.
Is broke.
The Jones are broke.
Wow.
They're not financially free. They're living the illusion and they're living a lie. So everybody from this day forward, the Joneses are broke. So Santana, how do you go at this thing with budget? Because it's a customized thing.
Mordecai, I wanna get touch on that rock bottom and then segue into what the budgeting. In Atlanta, I was working for one of the top accounting firms, and I just found myself like, gosh, I don't feel like I'm helping anyone. So once again, it was like a Sunday night after church, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I feel the Lord saying that like it's over. So I walk in, resign. Now I told you how well I saved at the beginning of my life. Well, I'm in Atlanta. I'm feeling like, hey, I'd have made it. I'm professionally, I'm where I want to be. And I'm having a voila moment, like the reserves last for a month. And then on top of that, I totaled my car. So I'm sitting there, but I made a decision that I wanted to be happy. And I'm making that point that along with partnering with being financially fit is being emotionally fit. Because I always tell people I deal with professional athletes every day. Spends with his money. Person is probably that, or is a overcompensate. It goes through how they spend their money. So you wanna work on yourself just as much as you're working on your money, because if you got fragmented parts of your personality, it's gonna come through your money. Yeah, you don't change this. You don't change your heart. So happiness is just as important as the money. And of course, they say your health is your wealth. Being in financial in a healthy place helps your wealth out. But then it gets down to the point, which is most sobering, that everyone has to do. Everyone has to sit down and put their financial picture on paper. Need to let's start off with where the dead bodies are at. How much debt do you have?
Ooh, honey.
Let's statement.
Don't laugh at me, Mordecai. Don't do it.
Let's to me. I mean, and this, I'm a CPA. This is accounting to me. Let's see where you're at on paper, because whatever percentage you have, it does not matter if you're not attacking the problem. Don't tell me about a 50, 30, 20, and you got a mountain of debt and you only put $5 extra towards your debt. Let's start with the financial picture.
Did you say $5?
Yeah.
At this point, Santana, in your mind, you ain't sick and tired of being sick and tired of being $5.
No. Don't tell me you want to stop spending and you don't really spend that much, but you putting 10, 15,000 on your Amex every month.
Right.
So let's find a day and time that we take a snapshot of where you're at. Because until people don't really look at it and consider it until you put it on paper.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't become real.
Let me tell you something. All the dreamers I know, all the people that have enormous visions, they never want to see stuff on paper. They never want to take a moment in time to say, let's get it on paper.
Right.
Because here is, listen, You can make $5, $50, $5 million, $50 million.
Right.
You still need a budget.
Yeah.
I don't know any corporation that does not have a budget. So if a corporation needs a budget, your personal finances need a budget. But it starts off when you go to the bank, they ask you, do you have a balance sheet? They ask you for the set of financials, whether it's whether you're corporately or individually, you got to start where you are at. Because if you got $100,000 in personal debt and you have a vision and you need $100,000 from the bank and they don't see you servicing the $100,000 in personal debt, why would I lend you money? Why would you're not managing what you have now? So you got first my rule first. Let's see where you at on paper.
So let me interject right there because this is important right here. An organization came to me and said, we want you to help, manage our money. We put it down on paper, and they were not willing to be honest about what the paper was saying. So I created an exercise called D-Day. I went into the future and I said, if you do not change the way you think and your actions in 15 months, you will be dead broke and you will have to lay off everybody, and all your work, all your vision will die in 15 months. It wasn't until I was able to show them on paper that everything you're doing is taking you in the opposite direction. So here's the lesson. Before you trash and get a new budget, what is your current budget revealing about who you are?
Are we assuming that people have a budget?
Well, so here's the exercise. Go pull up your bank statement. Get your bank statement. If you don't have a budget, go get your bank statement and highlight restaurants pink. Like, do different expenses. What we want you to see is, who are you now? So if you don't have a budget, okay, no condemnation. We're gonna get you on the right track, but we need you to be honest with yourself, because that's what the bank is looking at, is your bank statements. If you don't have a budget, then you got to go back to your ATM withdrawals, your deposits. What are your expenses telling you? And so I think that is a great starting point, what Santana is saying here about where the dead bodies.
Yeah, because we got to start with the primary, with necessities, and then we got to go to what you want. Like, you got to you got to and this is for free. Very few people can handle debt. Very few people. Let me give you my Santana version of debt.
Okay, but before you give us the Santana version of debt, we got to go to a quick commercial break.
Okay.
And I need y'all to do this. Before he give the Santana version of debt and how to manage it, please make sure y'all got y'all notebooks and stuff ready. Because let me tell you something. If you sat and met with these guys for real, what they're giving you, I hope y'all picking up what they putting down, as they say, this will cost you a boatload of money. So let's for real pay attention. And to make sure you're paying attention, we're going to go to a quick commercial break and we'll be right back. Because you better have that notebook, because I need to know, because I got a lot of debt. It's 3 companies and me and a kid in college. We got to talk, because we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Look at me, I'm on. 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 Can't stop, keep going. Can't stop, keep going. Can't stop, keep going. Can't stop, keep going.
Yeah. Okay. Hold up. Yeah. I'm chasing a bag, I'm racing the clock. Look at them block, watching them flop. See this in my sleep. When I ain't had shit but my thoughts in the car, I really was lost. Now I'm public with the soundscapes. Niggas floss, I'm really pulling strings for the pound cake. I see you went for a puppet in the clown face for a little wage. That shit, the talk of the town is late. Still me, I never switch sides. Came a long way with the gas tank running on fuel.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the 5 F's to Love. When we left off, we were getting deep into what they need you to do to get this journey started. The first thing Santana suggested was you need to write down all your debt first. He said the dead bodies is what he said, the dead bodies. So you need to write down your little totals on your debts at the top. And then Mordecai was saying you really need to look at a budget. If you establish a budget, you need to get your bank statement and start referencing that against your budget to find out what restaurants you're going to, how much money are you spending on entertainment, things like that. Because again, you make a budget, but if you're out doing what it is that you want to do, you're kind of basically blowing the budget off, which then goes back to what Santana said, that debt section increases. Because now that American Express is bringing in 10 grand a month when you didn't budget for that. So now we're going to go through Santana's 101 on get your together. Okay, this is now, it right here. So Santana going with it.
I want you to stay calm because every time I have this conversation about debt, people feel incriminated. But years ago, I came up with this: debt means doing everything before time.
Ooh.
Debt means doing everything before time. And in America, we got accustomed to getting the rewards without the sacrifice. But what I've seen in other cultures is that they won't even buy a house unless they save to pay cash for the house. But as Americans, we like, hey man, can the bank finance whatever I want next? So you've never done the work to be able to afford what you buy, even when you buy a house. I mean, even when you buy a car. By the time you pay the car off, you want another car.
Right.
When you buy the house, you finance it for 30 years, and about 20 years, you're tired of the house. So you go through the cycle over and over. You never own anything. You don't truly own anything if someone has a note on what you're possessing. So doing everything before time, we have to get in a cycle of really putting in the work to start paying cash for some things that you actually own. Now, that's a cuss word. You mean I can't get the car before I save my money? You mean I can't buy the house before I put the money away? Well, the house is going to own you. Because when you get to retirement,
come on,
if you got a mortgage that's sitting there, then it's going to be eating up your savings while you're in retirement. In retirement. So am I sitting here today to say no? I understand that most Americans need to align with the bank to do what they want to do. But if you look at that finance statement on how much interest you pay that you'll never recoup, if you look at how much, if you look at these things, most of your money that you've made when you purchase these big ticket items is going to the bank. It's going. Now, if you're sophisticated enough to manage debt and pursue your dreams and then have a quick way to eradicate the debt and get very few people are going to do that.
That's like less than 10%.
Yes.
I'm with you. So what I did was I look at like my house is paid for, both of my cars are paid for. I can just, if I want to work at Wendy's drive-through to pay the utilities, I'm good. Exactly. And so that's the thing. But I was taught that from my father. If you want something, you research it, you save up. And that's what I was saying to Mordecai, I want another house because I want to give my son this house. So I was like, I need half. So if I want a $500,000 house, I got to come up with $250,000. I can just go get, because I want to pay it off in 10 years. And the only way I can do this if I put half down. Absolutely. And I'm only financing $250, knowing that I'm gonna make $250 in 2 years. Put that in the savings and then do that amortization schedule. Double downs on it. Build the credit. But see, Santana, what you saying to Black folks, which is how can I say this? We doing Joneses.
Yes.
We doing Joneses instead of just living in our space. I get a lot of people say, well, you have a much bigger house. You are correct. But furniture is in every room in my house, and my house is paid for. When I come to your house, you just got furniture in the family room.
Yes.
In the kitchen.
Yeah.
You can barely pay your utilities.
Let me tell you how you can start taking some power away from the banks. And I'm giving away a lot of, if you take cash you have and you wanted to do your business, you can go get a line of credit against the cash you put in the CD.
That's how I got a line of credit.
And pay only on the spread. on what
Yes.
they're paying versus. See,
But again, y'all.
I can't give all it. This
But
is
see,
just.
you got. But listen, I got to talk to the folks. Listen, I got to jump in here. I got to talk to all the people that's not making, and they don't like their expenses, their necessities, and their income is bumping right up against.
Right.
Everybody don't have that extra. That that extra allows you to dream and allows you to think a little bit. So we don't want to leave. Like for real, we are doing the Joneses, but there are real economic barriers too that certain ethnic groups are facing as well, which gives us a stronger call to have this conversation.
Because they don't have enough cash coming in regardless.
Exactly. So you're not hopeless, right? You're not out of the game, but it means you got to start right away.
Right.
And so we need to also talk about, we have clients that legitimately they're making $30,000 and their necessities, they're not wasteful. They're at the top line.
Right.
So their budget looks
like
different.
With $20 left.
Exactly. Everything looks different. But watch this. What Santana is saying and Forrest is the principles are the same.
It's the same. It's the same.
The principles are the same. So it doesn't matter how much you make, the principles. So what I'm getting at here is there are people who say, I'm not making enough to come out, so I'm just going to live my life, right? No, you can start with the right principles of what we're talking about. And guess what? There was a guy, what was he? Was he working in, I think he was working in one of the grocery stores. He took something like 50 or 60% of his check and he bought stock in Tesla 15 years ago.
Wow.
He saw that Tesla was going to be something. So he stashed all of his check in Tesla and now he's a millionaire.
Let me, I don't know if we're closing out, but let me give you a story.
Yeah, we there.
Or how extreme and how I moved from Atlanta to Jacksonville. And I moved in being a CP. I moved in with my grandmother back into the rough side of town, everything.
Right.
And I sat there with an Excel spreadsheet for 2 years, and I saved every dollar I could. I went from sleeping with my in my grandparents' house to buying them house in 2 years because I was adamant that everybody was going to change. I humbled myself. First, sometimes I want to say to the listeners, sometimes financially, you need to humble yourself.
Right.
Humble. If it's bad, it's bad. And
right.
when it's bad, you got to be willing to make some extreme decisions to turn things around. I came from Atlanta, Georgia, having the time of my life, knowing that I wanted to be a financial advisor. I went and stayed with my grandparents. I saved up so much money that in 24 months, I bought them a house.
See, but Santana, what you're saying is big because this is one of the things I say all the time. I told my son, you're here in Michigan with me. Just move back home, save your money. I said, in 6 months, I'm going to give you this house, but you'll start off with money in the bank. Oh, no, I can't move in with my mother.
No,
that's not going to look right if I'm living with my mother as a 20-year-old.
For the Gen Zers, go home if you got to.
Come on.
Why start off struggling when you can start off in a wealthy
Come
place?
on.
If you just humble yourself. I did.
You got to humble yourself.
It was a game changer. I sat there and rolled home and like, when I get out of this, I ain't coming back. But everybody coming out for this sacrifice I'm making. Everybody's coming out. Like, I went and bought them a house first because I was like, hey, y'all got a shorter time on this earth. But I'm going to get you for this sacrifice, you're going to benefit for it.
First. But see, Santana, that's what we need to do as a culture. So many of us try to go out on our own just to prove to the other generation, which would be me, his mother, that he can do it. Instead of saying, you know what? If I go home, this is the deal. And everybody's going to think, oh my gosh, she's giving her kid a golden ticket. I did. He gets a house, okay? And I'm going to redecorate it to make sure he's good, take my stuff out. And he gets a BMW SUV. His 21st birthday, 2 months later, this is what he gets. But you won't come back home right now so you can stack your cash.
No, it's just
you rather pay rent somewhere else.
So all you got to do is put that on hold until his character matures until his character matures, you keep moving forward with your plan. Same thing I told my daughter. She graduated from Florida A&M 5 years ago. I said, you come home, you stack your cash. We paid for her car. I said, when I came out of college, I had to buy a car. You're not gonna have to buy, you don't have no car payment. All you paying is your phone. Pay your phone bill. You get what I'm saying? And stock your money, and let's put a strategy together. She said, I'm down for it. So we have to sit down and have different conversations.
Boys are hard.
We gotta have different conversations with our youth and with our children. They really want to succeed, but there's a little thing called handling objections. And once we learn how to do that, we can move people to the next level, because there's always something that's holding people back. We're out of time.
But Christine, folks, listen, we're going to talk about the week's financial challenge. The challenge is they want you to purchase the book, The Creator from Jekyll Island by G. Griffin. We want you to post on the 5S to Love social media sites a video or quote of an eye-opening moment. And it's just reading the first chapter. So again, this week's financial challenge from the Finance Squad is to purchase this book called The Creator from Jekyll Island by G. Griffin. And they want you to post to the 5S to Love social media sites, pick any of one that you like. And we want you to put down either a quote or a video of an eye-opening moment. Guys, listen, this Finance Squad, I'm telling you right now, hands down, and I'm going to be the person to show you what's happening. I'm giving them my money. And when I tell you, I'm going to be in real time telling y'all real talk, how they're taking care of me. I'm going to be the example, and I'm like that. I'm very transparent. I told them my stuff is upside down because I wanted to be all I could be on my own, right? If I had talked to them, they would have been like, Christine, before you go to be all that you can be in your business, we need to put together a plan.
Yes.
But I didn't have that. I got this much money and I'm about to do this. But the thing is, it wasn't a mistake to invest in myself. It's just the way that I invested in myself, right? But over the next couple months, all of that is going to change, and all the time that I put into building the company is now going to expand me, right? And I'm good with that. But even with that in mind, folks, I really want you guys to pay attention. Knowing what's going to happen 3 to 6 months from now, I know I need them. I know I'm not smart enough. And a lot of times what we do is we know we're about to blow up, and we don't have a plan. Well, guess what? I'm working on other things. I need them to help me get my plan together, so that I'm successful long term and I don't ever invest my last dollar into me. That's the thing. And that's what people don't understand. It's good to invest in yourself, but it's also good to be connected to these guys. So listen, we're coming back next week with Forrest. I'm going to keep it real. You think these two guys are like right here? Forrest is going to blow your mind. He going to take street with common sense and finance, and boom, it's going to blow up in your face. So one of the things I respect about all of you guys is this. All of you guys came from nothing, and you found your way through a finance world that most African Americans or minorities don't know about. And you didn't even say, where's the roadmap? You just took pieces of maps and put it together and created your own path.
That's right.
And let me tell you something. You're talking about the secret sauce. Everybody be reading The Secret. I'm basically telling y'all right now, at the end of this, we're putting together a book with all three of y'all, and that's the secret.
Wow.
The secret is how to get to success financially on the right road just for you, because there is no one way to do it, folks. But with these three guys, that book is coming out, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I've already spoken into existence. It's happening. We're gonna do the workbook that's gonna take people to financial freedom. Folks, I can't wait to see you guys next week. I get excited about Saturdays. Y'all like my Saturday night date. I'm with y'all on a date, and then I hit the street, and I go to the bar like, I got $20.
That's good. That's it.
Right?
We are on a journey. It only goes up from here.
And I like this. So Mordecai, what do you want to say to people as we go out?
Hey, I just want our listeners to have hope and to know that, your success is not overnight when we talk about financial success, but it starts with one good decision. And so this week, we want you to make one good decision, one positive decision. Make a decision that's good for your future. And so sit down, write all your expenses down, get your budget, bring all the bills, open all the bills that's sitting on the counter that you haven't opened up, open all that stuff up and begin to get organized. let's get organized and get hungry about being more accountable to your future than what happened to you in the past. And we'll see you on the next podcast.
Santana, what you got? What you telling the people other than the fact
just always know that your what you perceive as a mess is going to be potentially a great message, and that all flowers come up through dirt. And so push your way through the dirt, because you're going to be a great flower one day. Do not let what you're at today determine where you'll be at tomorrow.
Oh, I feel like a rose. I'll see you guys next week. Next Saturday, you better believe it. I'm coming in a white rose. All right, guys. Thank you for watching us on Get Your Money Right. See you guys next week.